and he's not going to look like a lightweight going up to a welterweight. He's going to look like a solid welterweight in a title fight. But it's going to come down to his ability to get takedowns and hold JDM down. If JDM can get back up over and over and scramble, I think he's going to give Islam a lot of problems with the exchanges of boxing.
This is the one of the maybe hardest fight for me because he's big, he's good everywhere. Maybe he don't have good wrestling defense, but his grappling is good. He defends, he get up from the grappling very, very well.
A better finisher than Bilal. He's definitely more of a finisher, more finishes. I think in more of aggressive style. So definitely a harder fight, 100%.
A storm's brewing ahead of UFC 322, and Khamzat Chimaev just poured gasoline on the fire with his explosive prediction for Islam Makhachev versus Della Maddalena. Speaking in a recent video posted to his social media, Chimaev kept it real, giving props to both men but making his stance crystal clear. He admitted that while both fighters bring serious skill to the octagon, he sees Makhachev's wrestling as the deciding factor. The Chechen star expressed intrigue over Islam's move up in weight, but confidently predicted that the lightweight champ's relentless grappling would be the key weapon that tips the scales in his favor.
Coach is 55% Maddalena, 45 Islam, but I think Islam, see, both good fighters. Islam moving up, it's interesting to see what's he gonna do, but I think Islam will be more, he gonna use his wrestling more.
Meanwhile, Dustin Poirier has also shared his thoughts, expressing excitement for the matchup and respect for both fighters. In his view, each man brings a unique set of abilities to the table, making this clash even more intriguing. Poirier suggested that Della Maddalena has the tools to trouble Islam if he can keep the fight standing and maintain constant pressure. However, he also acknowledged that moving up in weight is no small challenge for Makhachev. He had emphasized that Islam is a phenomenal athlete, a beast with the discipline and fight IQ to adapt to any division.
I'm curious, Dustin, what are your thoughts on that fight and Islam Makhachev's chances to become a two-division champion?
I'm excited for him. He's made history. He's trying to continue making history. I'm going to be there in attendance with Bud Light for that event at Madison Square Garden. So excited to see that one in person. But to pick a fighter in this one, I think both guys are great at certain things. It's going to all come down to the takedown defense of JDM. If he can get back up to his feet, if he can use the fence or stay off the fence, use his boxing, I think he definitely could give Islam a lot of troubles in the center of the octagon. He's a great striker. He's big and powerful. But a lot of times we think of a lightweight going up to welterweight. It's a 15-pound weight difference, but Islam is not a small man. He's not short.
Dustin Poirier went on to assert that although it's a step up for Islam, the lightweight champion knows exactly how to adjust to any division. According to Poirier, Makhachev's size and strength give him a natural edge even against true welterweights. He explained that Islam won't appear like a lightweight struggling at a higher weight class. Instead, he'll show up as a solid, well-built welterweight ready for war. Poirier further broke down his take, saying that if Islam can secure takedowns and stop JDM from scrambling back to his feet, he has a clear path to victory. But if Jack manages to defend well and keep the fight standing, Poirier believes things could get very complicated for Makhachev.
I don't know, maybe 5'11", he's big. He's a big guy. It's not like he's having to put on years of muscle to make this leap to the next weight class. He's a guy who's been holding his body back from naturally being bigger like it wants to be so he can compete at a lightweight division. He's going to fill into this weight class, and he's not going to look like a lightweight going up to a welterweight. He's going to look like a solid welterweight in a title fight. But it's going to come down to his ability to get takedowns and hold JDM down. If JDM can get back up over and over and scramble, I think he's going to give Islam a lot of problems with the exchanges of boxing.
Meanwhile, in a recent interview, Islam Makhachev addressed the challenge head-on, showing full awareness of what Della Maddalena brings to the cage. He acknowledged JDM's strong defensive skills, especially against wrestling, something that has already been evident in Jack's performance at welterweight. Islam admitted that Jack's size and power are factors he can't ignore, but made it clear that he's preparing for every possible scenario. Confident yet composed, Makhachev stated that he's ready to grapple, strike, and wrestle for as long as it takes. Whatever it demands, he'll keep pushing until the job is done.
This is the one of the maybe hardest fight for me because he's big, he's good everywhere. Maybe he don't have good wrestling defense, but his grappling is good. He defends, he get up from the grappling very, very well. That's why I'm prepare for myself for anything. I can strike with him, I can wrestling with him, grappling with him, but I know he also training hard for me because his last opponent, Bilal, we have like not same style, but Bilal also tried to wrestling, but he defends his wrestling very well. That's why I have to be ready. If he stop my wrestling, I'm gonna try again. If not happen, I will strike with him.
Meanwhile, Michael Chandler, known as one of the most explosive fighters in UFC history, sees a very different challenge for Islam Makhachev. According to Chandler, this isn't just a test of size, it's a test of raw power. While Islam's skill and strength are unquestionable, Jack Della Maddalena brings something unique to the table: knockout-level striking. Chandler described JDM as a fighter who doesn't need flashy techniques or complicated setups to be dangerous. Instead, he is simple but deadly, using straightforward, effective tactics that make him a serious threat in the welterweight division.
He's not much of a puzzle, man. He's pretty basic, but he is brilliant and violent and devastating with the basics, man. A little bit of range, a little bit of reach on Islam, and I won't even sit there and say, because Islam's a different breed, man. I wouldn't sit there and say, oh, he's a 155er, so he's not used to going with 170 pounders. I would not be surprised if Islam, his entire career, has been sparring with 55, 70, 185, and 205ers, because the dude's kind of a nut.
Chandler thinks Islam can manage the physical side of the fight without issue. After all, Makhachev has probably rolled with bigger opponents before, from lightweights up to middleweights. But Chandler isn't concerned about size. His focus is on the real challenge: how Islam responds when struck by someone carrying true welterweight power. He's confident that Makhachev will take some solid shots during the fight, and maybe not right away, but Chandler expects it to happen eventually, and that's where the real test begins.
I don't think strength or size is going to be the problem. It's really going to be the dichotomy between JDM's great striking abilities and is his takedown defense enough to stop the onslaught of wrestling that Islam's going to bring. Because I do think, even the stand-up battle against Poirier does hit hard, because I witnessed that and felt it firsthand. But there's no way he hits as hard as JDM. So I think it'll be interesting, man. I think Islam's going to get tagged up a couple times, and we're going to see.
When that scenario unfolds, Chandler believes Islam will be forced to rely on his wrestling. Yet the lingering question is whether he can survive the threat Jack poses on the feet long enough to secure those takedowns. For Chandler, the advantage slightly favors JDM, not because Islam lacks skill, but because Jack's explosive power and sharp striking could tip the scales. He described Jack as a monster, emphasizing that even if Makhachev walks away with the belt, it'll be far from a straightforward victory.
If he goes to that wrestling pretty quick, but I think JDM's a monster, man. I think I give JDM the slight favor, or the slight nod in that one. But I would not be surprised if Islam is holding the belt, and then now you got a whole nother conundrum where you got Ilya, him wanting the super fight and all that stuff. So we'll see what happens, man. Crazy sport.
At the same time, Jack Della Maddalena isn't underestimating what Islam brings to the octagon. He acknowledged that Makhachev is a highly skilled fighter with finishing ability far beyond his previous opponents. JDM went on to reveal that in his eyes, this will be the toughest fight of his career, a challenge that demands everything he has, both mentally and physically, to compete at the highest level.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really listen too much to what Bilal says, to be honest. But yeah, of course, Islam's a better finisher than Bilal. He's definitely more of a finisher, more finishes. I think in more of aggressive style. So definitely a harder fight, 100%.
Praising Islam Makhachev, Jack Della Maddalena acknowledged that he knows just how well-rounded a fighter truly Islam is. He called Makhachev one of the greatest martial artists in the sport, noting that his skills go far beyond grappling. JDM pointed out that Islam is just as dangerous on his feet, capable with punches, elbows, kicks, and all striking ranges. However, he admitted there's one area where he believes he has an advantage: keeping the fight standing, where he can test Islam against his own striking.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really listen too much to what Bilal says, to be honest. But yeah, of course, Islam's a better finisher than Bilal. He's definitely more of a finisher, more finishes. I think in more of aggressive style. So definitely a harder fight, 100%.
But the conversation doesn't stop there. Analyst and former UFC fighter Kenny Florian also shared his take, highlighting that the pressure in this matchup is heavily one-sided. In Florian's view, the burden falls squarely on Islam Makhachev, and as the reigning lightweight champion moving up in weight, all eyes are on him to secure victory, assert his dominance, and continue carrying Dagestan's storied legacy into a new division.
Found that to be extremely interesting. to be that effective against other 170 pounders in practice is one thing. To do it against other guys in a fight is quite another, especially one at the level of a Jack Della Maddalena. Now, it's possible that Islam is just that good of a grappler. And of course, we can't ignore his very good striking. This is a potent striker as well. He can hurt you. He's got some power. We have seen that. But I think, a lot of that is coming because of how dominant he's been in the 155-pound division, a division that many have thought has been the most competitive in the UFC for several years now. So I think that has a lot to do with it.
But that's precisely what makes this matchup so risky. Florian emphasized that moving up in weight isn't just about sparring with bigger fighters in the gym. Facing them under the bright lights over 5 grueling rounds is a whole different challenge. While Islam may dominate at lightweight, welterweight presents a new level of difficulty. Maneuvering against a true 170-pound athlete like Jack Della Maddalena demands a unique combination of endurance, timing, and raw strength.
The other thing is, the fact that JDM hasn't been champion for very long. If you're going to face someone like JDM, you kind of want to do it right now. So I think that's really interesting. And we're going to find out, man. But I think this is going to be a treat for all the high-level mixed martial arts fans out there.
So you're going to hear a lot of people talk about the layers to Islam Makhachev's grappling game and his wrestling game. And when you look for comps, when you look at Jack Della Maddalena's career, I remember early on in a fighter meeting, in advance of his fight against Khamzat Chimaev, he called it the Dagestani wrestler test, and he sort of felt like this is a good time for me to pass the Dagestani wrestler test.
Florian acknowledged that Islam still has the tools to do what he does best: control Jack against the cage, take him down, and dominate the rounds. However, he stressed that it won't come easily. The risk of Islam feeling the size and strength difference during the fight is very real, which is why Florian leans slightly toward JDM. In his assessment, Islam may be an elite lightweight, possibly one of the best ever, but that doesn't automatically translate to being a dominant welterweight.
The other thing is, the fact that JDM hasn't been champion for very long. If you're going to face someone like JDM, you kind of want to do it right now. So I think that's really interesting. And we're going to find out, man. But I think this is going to be a treat for all the high-level mixed martial arts fans out there.
So you're going to hear a lot of people talk about the layers to Islam Makhachev's grappling game and his wrestling game. And when you look for comps, when you look at Jack Della Maddalena's career, I remember early on in a fighter meeting, in advance of his fight against Khamzat Chimaev, he called it the Dagestani wrestler test, and he sort of felt like this is a good time for me to pass the Dagestani wrestler test.
For Florian, the key in this fight is adaptation, who can adjust effectively when it matters most. He believes Jack's striking, fluid movement, and calm composure give him a genuine chance to surprise everyone and potentially turn the odds in his favor.
But I hope JDM absolutely punches his little head in. Yeah, I hope JDM batters him. And if he can keep it on the feet, then he will absolutely batter him, and I hope he does. Islam was chatting pony the other day.
UFC fighter Fatima Khalane believes Islam could be in for a serious challenge moving up from 155. She pointed out that with Craig Jones and Jack Della Maddalena's corner, things could become even more difficult for Makhachev. Referencing the recent Alexander Volkanovski fight, Khalane noted how having a top-level grappling coach in your corner can make a huge difference. She suggested that Craig Jones' expertise could help JDM exploit and break down the typical Dagestani-style wrestling and grappling that Islam relies on, giving Jack a real chance to capitalize and potentially take control of the fight.
Well, Islam is super dominant at 55, but I mean, 170, that's like over a 30-pound difference, and so I could see Jack using his weight, and also, I mean, he's got Craig. If he has Craig Jones in his corner, and you see what happened when both fought Islam and had Craig in his corner. I could really see Craig Jones breaking down the kind of that Dagestani wrestling and pulling Jack out with a win.
And there you have it, fight fans. A matchup loaded with intrigue, power, and strategy. Islam Makhachev steps up to welterweight with everything to prove, while Jack Della Maddalena brings explosiveness, striking, and the brains of Craig Jones in his corner, and with predictions flying, insights from stars like Khamzat Chimaev, Michael Chandler, Dustin Poirier, and analysts weighing in, UFC 322 promises fireworks from the first bell to the last. So who do you think has the edge? The relentless grappling of Islam or the raw power and striking of JDM? Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe to Boxism for all the latest fight breakdowns, predictions, and exclusive MMA content. Stay tuned because the Octagon is about to get real.